part of the joy of me being able to do this is that I'm the mayor of Center currently, and I get to give you a little bit of an update of some things that maybe you have not seen because you've not been here recently. Some of them 40 years, some 10 years, and some just last week. But give you a little bit of a view of some things that I think that you might want to note while you're in Center this weekend. And one of them, let's just start with the school. I know that last night we had arranged for that beautiful harvest moon, and I thought it really looked good. And it was one point that it looked like it was rippling over a lake. Well, that is our new outdoor, enclosed, encapsulated practice field. And it's directly behind the football stadium. And last night it just kind of showcased itself as a feature, so we're going to put that on our tourism list. Now, the structure that removed the pine trees as you're entering the building and created all the parking to the right is our Coliseum, which will now house our basketball games and things that are indoor sports of that nature. And that is in process, should be through by the end of the semester, end of the school year, if not the very first of the year to follow. Take the opportunity to look at all of our schools because every school has had an improvement to it. As you go to our old high school, and I'm making all of y'all as old as I am, and I'm sorry, but it's a great age. Go to our old high school, you'll notice that the old band hall and things that were the junior high have been expanded, a new front there, just an entirely different appeal to it, very modern looking, and still it's the same bones that we were educated in. You'll also see that the high school, or may not know it, you won't see it because physically it has not changed, is a new Center Academy, and that is for students that are learning on their own pace. They are not slow, they're not too rapid, they're learning at their own pace, but they are offered that opportunity to take a curriculum that will better fit their learning style and learning capability. So you'll know that one is being well used. But as I say, go through all of our school systems and see what all changes you can detect by looking through them. It's quite good. Then we want to talk about some changes that everybody has asked, and I was talking to Sharon White a while ago, and she'd Googled where to eat, and it said Dairy Queen and Sonic. There are other places. We have added several new places in town. We have a couple of restaurants on the square, a brand new Italian place. You'll also notice that on the intersection of Tennehaw and Timpson, there's a breakfast corner that is brand new that offers breakfast through lunch and is quite good. And then, if you'll remember, Duke Ellen Taylor's old house, which became Mrs. Watson's old house, is now a yogurt spot, and it's really good. So if you're needing a little pick-me-up after the parade today, I suggest you stop by. We have now sophisticated ourselves until we have a store that does nothing but yogurt. Coffee shops, I guess they think we need the energy because we've got one at every stop in town. But it has allowed us to become very sophisticated, and we have a container building now. So the coffee shop going out on the Nacogdoches San Augustine Highway is made of old railroad cars. Go by and look at the building, if nothing else. It's fun. Again, for those of us who live here, it's an attraction, and we enjoy it. Courthouse grounds. The judge is doing some great things right now at the courthouse, and she and the Historical Commission, who's led by Teddy Hopkins, who's with us today, are doing some things to continue to maintain our building, to improve our buildings, and to make sure that we have them for as long as they can possibly stand. The interior of the courthouse is being repainted. New light fixtures are being installed. There are replacement fixtures, but there are new fixtures that will be there and will better display some of the interior things. The old records building is in a long-time process of bringing a museum into it, but right now they have redone the exterior with painting of the windows and the gutters around it. We get excited about new gutters here. It's so nice to have simple things to do. Ladies' restroom has been painted. The bandstand has been painted. We're looking for a band, but we got a bandstand for them when they come back home. The grounds are really looking good. Of course, I can't go without talking about downtown that we don't talk about the change in the downtown square. We think that has really changed the the feel to bring the unity that we've grew up with, experiencing the freedom to go in and out of stores, the familiarity of going in and out of stores where they knew who you were and what was there. Now, we have gone through drought, as everybody else in the room has, and we've lost a lot of our old trees through town. And the other day, we'd lost a couple of things through the city planting, and some as you were coming in today. So I saw last week that we were planting again on the square, and I called the city manager. I said, "What are you planting this time of year?" "Drought is over." I said, "The drought's not over." "The drought is over. We have plenty of water in the lake. We are going back to our plants. We cannot stand these dead things any longer." So we have planted the square and roses for your arrival this weekend. I hope that you enjoy them. It's just for you, and it's saving his neck because he knew, not being a center graduate, that it was important, though, to do something for homecoming. So if you see Mr. Nearing, thank him for the roses that you feel free to pick as many as you want there. Watch the thorns because we still have a safety issue there. Also, we want you to notice as you are coming in and out of the Nacogdoches Highway, we have an enormous new water tower. Now, that may not have been press y'all, but for us to have continued water flow and whatnot, because of our need with Tyson and because of our need with Porticool and because of the need of the growth of our community, it was necessary to update that. So we're doing that and also doing a study of recycling the water so that we can have a long-term satisfaction to our water needs. The park enhancements, we have talked about those before, that we have the parks for softball, girls, boys. We have the mini park, which is right behind the library. We have Porticool Park, which is an expansion of that. They've added some handicapped and special needs equipment there so that can be enjoyed a little bit more by more public. We have the soccer field, which is behind the old Ballard Street Park, and we've renamed it and designated it just for soccer. And, you know, again, my age, why would you do a whole park for soccer? Because it's the most popular thing going on in town right now. We do not do pickleball. Yet. Next week sometime, I'm sure. Anyway, we're quite proud of our parks, and I think as you're driving through and passing them, you're going to see that in our Perry Sampson Park, which is recently redone. We cut the ribbon on it as a redo in the fall of last year, late fall. And that has been revitalized, expanded with new covered pavilions and eating tables and a walking trail around it. It really is quite lovely. We are very proud of our park system, and that has a lot to do with our community that wants to be involved with one another. So we realize that is how best to address some of it, and we have done so. So I hope that every time you pass one of them this weekend, you're going to find it full and crowded with people there and enjoying it. We have a new dialysis center that has come on Tennahaw Street that has recently opened just the last couple of months. One of the things that we had place this summer that really brought a lot of attention to our community was we had a World Series game here in Center with our Dixie League. And that brought in people from Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, not to mention all of Texas. We had around 20,000 people who came just for that event. And they spent money, and they ate food, and they paid taxes, and we have a budget this year. It's just, if we could only get them back next year. It really is amazing how they came and enjoyed themselves, and we enjoyed them. Only downside to it is the big fireworks display, because it happened over the 4th of July period of time in there. We were going to have another fireworks display, and it was called off because of the weather. But maybe that's why we had such a good time, is that we were able to spend money on other things there. As you can tell, things are continuing to happen in Center. This weekend is homecoming. Next weekend is Poultry Festival. That's, again, our fall highlight here. Everybody comes home and quite often does it in lieu of homecoming. This time they all kind of purge together. A lot of the classes, or several of the classes, met last weekend. Some met yesterday. The rest of us are meeting during this weekend. And then we followed up with Poetry Festival. More parties, social life in Center right now, and it really is what makes everybody smile, and I hope gets you to either come back or stay the full week to be able to enjoy it. Speaking of that, if you are bored tonight and just can't take any more of your class reunion, the Carnation for Miss Poultry Festival, Chicken Queen, will be at the high school auditorium between 5 and 7, and you're more than welcome to come and enjoy that. And it really is pretty, and we have some of the prettiest young ladies since y'all were in school. It's just, they don't top y'all, but they are good-looking girls, I promise you that. Poetry Festival is full 3 days of fun and excitement. The one thing, the project that we have going right now in the city, which I think is rather daring for a small town with no money, is the fact that we are bringing Wi-Fi and all of our fibers into the community. So every household, every street in Center Texas city limits will have access to high-speed Wi-Fi. That is something that the Economic Development Committee and the city decided was time to do. As most of you know, if you do not have good connection, you lose businesses and you lose everything else. But we're excited that they have shown the wisdom to do that. We did have some downturn this last year that was very sad for us, but it also made us realize again where we are and who we're with. We had a major fire with one of our manufacturing companies, Porticool, this last year, or the last summer. And when I say it was major, it was major. It like burned everything up. And you passed by, and it looked like just a metal frame building. It just looked like a marshmallow, or maybe a bouncy house at a birthday party. And it looks like if you could just blow some air, it would blow up and it would be back a wreck. But it literally burned everything out. You looked around the backside, and there was nothing there but black ash. In 70 days, Porticool, the citizens of Center Texas, the state of Texas, the county of Shelby, were able to get that building back in operation. Not that building, another location back in operation. 275 people lost their job during that period of time, but they were able to bring so many of them back, around 50 of them for sure, back within 70 days. They did have other parts of their plant that were not touched, so they were able to do. That was not done just by accident, and it was not done haphazardly. It was done because everybody in Center pulled together and said, these are people I work with. These are people that I go to church with. These are people that are my family. What are we going to do to bring this back into action again? And they performed beautifully, and Porticool is doing their plans right now to build back exactly where they were, expand their building here, streamline some things that had been an add-on and growth issue for them, so it should be an economy for us for years and years to come. Chicken is still king. Tyson still clucks. It's just wonderful to live in small town USA. Well, that's enough about me bragging about the city, unless y'all want to hear some more. But I'm through, I promise. Now we're going to get down to what we're really here for, and that's talking about Center High School, our experiences. I don't remember a group that is as congenial and lively in a number of years. Am I misreading that, Virginia? This is a happy group, aren't they? We sometimes are gloomy. This time, this is a fun group, and glad that you're here. With that being said, let's do a little profiling while we're here and see who is here and where they're from. I want to start by recognizing us by class years. Anybody who graduated in the years with a 2000 on it or a current student, would you please stand or wave or dance or something? Got over here and over there. Very good. How about the 1990s? Got over here. Slow learners over there. 1980. Here, there. How about the 1970s? Great group there. How about the 1960s? Uh, Equal sized group, but they're louder, y'all. So y'all must have had too much fun last night. 1950s. Margaret's here. The back row is full back here. Great. 1940s. Jane Ruth Ingram Morrison, always here, always smiling, always pleasant. Truly a homecomer because she rarely misses one of our homecoming events there. Glad you're here this morning, Jane Ruth. Do we dare go 1930s? Jane, you hold the record. You be the oldest person here today. We are very good. What year did you graduate? 46. You know, this has nothing to do with y'all at all, but it does three of us who are standing line to line. There's Jane, Ruth, Margaret, and me. And we all grew up in pretty much this order on Pecan Street, and Buster's standing in the back. So this is me looking down my hometown street there, and I kind of like the look. We've held up rather well, Margaret. And he didn't, did he? It's amazing. Neat. So glad that we have such a, yes, sir.
I mentioned as well, 1944 class, the three that I know of are named Alumni Board, Marceline Crenshaw, Great, Scott Bain,
That's well.
I think Molly wants to be in the parade today. She's really sick.
You know, the beautiful thing about a parade in Center Texas, if you got a car or a truck or a Jeep, you've got a parade. So strap the old girl in a car and bring her on. Line up behind Farmers Bank, parade at 4 o'clock. So lines at 3:30. That is great to hear of so many still involved in caring about our school. Now, how about distances that we've come from? Mm-hmm. Maddie is homecoming. And you know, she still writes an article, for those of you who do not get the champion, she still writes an article every week for the local paper. Damnedest thing I've ever seen. And most of it's relatively current, or I think it is anyway. It's applicable anyway, for sure. Now let's talk about our distance. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. He's the one that told me I couldn't fly because my knuckles were too white. And he was right. He was right. Oh, distances. Who came 100 miles? Okay. 300 miles. Does anybody live at home anymore? 500 miles? 2, 3? 600? 800? 1,000? 1,200? We keep on going here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who came over 1,200 miles to come back for homecoming. Now, I'm not going to go to each one of them and ask why they came back, but I look around the room and I know why they came back. It's the one sitting next to them. It's the one at the table next to them. It's that opportunity to visit once again with people that have meant so much to us over the years. Let's recognize some of the organizations that are represented here today. How many of you were in the band? What a musical group we are. Football. I'm giving everybody a chance to look around, recognize your friends, and tie up. Baseball. Basketball. Twirlers. Cheerleaders. Still loudmouths. Tennis. Got a couple. Soccer. When we get a response to soccer, we finally have broken the age barrier. I just put it in there to check every once in a while. Track, what people did before soccer. Golf. Very good. Drill team. Chaparrals. Mascots. Got one mascot. That's relatively new addition. You know, Caroline brought the mascot back 10 years, 15. Okay, some time ago. Can you imagine what that suit smells like now? Just a thought. How about the school paper? A lot of journalists. Annual staff. School play. Debate. Student council or a class officer. FFA. FHA. National Honor Society. Good number there. Since we have so many of National Honor Society, I want to give you a little story about that. The charter, the recognition, whatever, had gone stale, delinquent, inactive. And this year, one of the teachers has brought the National Honor Society back. And their attendance is very good, or their participation is very good. It's a little different than what was when we were in National Honor Society, but they realize the value of recognizing a student who is that involved and that dedicated to education and to the social life of a school, and they have brought that back into an active force there. So we wish them well, and I think they will do extremely well. That's kind of who we are today. And there's one other group that I failed to recognize. We're here today to recognize and induct 2 young women into our Hall of Fame. And with that, we also have others present who have received that award already. If you are a recipient of that award, would you mind standing and being recognized? It is truly one of the most humbling experiences in the world, and I speak from personal experience, to receive an induction to the Hall of Fame with the Alumni Association. Most people have received awards and recognition, and we have met goals in our life. But it's different when it's your own peers, people you grew up with for 12 years, people that you've experienced every aspect of emotion and in life with, for them to stop and recognize you and the accomplishments that you have done. This year we have 2 inductees, and they are absolutely well-deserved people to receive this recognition. First of all, I want to recognize Dr. Mary Helen Brown, who will introduce our first inductee. And we all know Mary Helen, and we never know what's going to come out of her mouth. So this is going to be good.
First, I'd like to thank my friend Susan for pointing out that I should not trip on my way up here. Wow. Lots of smiling faces. I want to put some words in your head. Truth, justice, and the American way. Superman, right? I have another nominee. Now, how do you introduce a superhero? Do you read a list from their resume? No. I don't know about y'all. This resume is long enough that I want to make sure I get to lunch before supper time. Do you take selections from the letters of support? Well, no. Apparently my nominee has the all-time high number of letters of support, so much so that Lori says they're not through reading them and that I can't have them. So I'm just going to have to talk about the person I know. Now, David said for 12 years. Oh, if only it were 12 years. The person I know, not long ago somebody asked me how long I had known this person, and I said, 2-year-old Sunday school at the Methodist Church. So I'm talking about somebody I've known since we sang Jesus Loves Me, all the way through to being right now being a powerful voice in the United Methodist Church. I know this person is someone who used to hide in the bushes instead of going to elementary school, and now served honorably in the Department of Justice for the whole darn United States of America. God bless us all. So, before Laurie comes up here and says, "You promised me this would be short," we know this person to be a force, an absolute force for truth, justice, and the American way. Now, I admit, known her a long time, and I know that she is not faster than a speeding bullet. I know that she is not more powerful than a locomotive. And I am here to tell you, I have never seen her leap over a tall building in a single bound. The closest she has to a bound is Buster. I know that is true. We are, after all, getting older. So I am pleased and honored, truly, to introduce my classmate, my friend, since second grade Sunday school, y'all, and my favorite, most superhero, Jen Ihlo.
Well, this is a very special presentation for me. And Jen, on behalf of the Center Alumni Association, it is our honor to present you with the 2023 Hall of Honor Award for being an outstanding graduate and representative of Center High School.
Thank you, Mary Helen. I'm not sure how I follow that, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I also want to say a deep appreciation, express my deep appreciation to the Alumni Association, Lori, Jason, Buster, all of you for your support of me for this award. I also want to thank the class of 1973 who kind of started this letter writing campaign. We're the, probably we were not the most normal class, shall I say. We had I noticed that Martha Lou in her bio mentioned that she remembered her motto, and I said, does anybody remember our motto? And eventually Susan Ellis said, yeah, our motto got rejected by the teachers. So we had to come up with a second one. And then they wouldn't play our school song at graduation because they didn't think, our class song at graduation because they didn't think it appropriate for graduation, so they chose another song. So we were rebels. And so I got some of my rebelness, if you will, from running around with the likes of my classmates and friends in the neighborhood. But from my first trip to Washington, D.C. in 1973, and another trip with the Tyler Junior College Band in 1975, I knew I wanted to live and work in Washington, D.C. I not only accomplished that gratefully, but I found a career that I loved. I'd wanted to be a lawyer since I was a kid, even though it was not normal for women to go to law school when I did. I managed to pull that off, and I had a great career. 38 years of federal government service, finishing up with 32 years with the Department of Justice, Tax Division, Criminal Enforcement Section. And I have a notebook full of war stories. But Lori said no. I could not talk for 2 hours and tell all my war stories. So I'm going to skip the war stories and just say, I had a great time, I had a great career, and I feel really fortunate. But I marveled from time to time, how did a kid from East Texas get here? How did a kid from East Texas end up with a job where I drove past the Washington Monument to get to the U.S. Capitol to work when I worked for the House of Representatives? How did a kid from East Texas end up with a job at the Justice Department where I stood up in federal court and announced, Jen Ihlo, Your Honor, on behalf of the United States of America? That was an honor and a responsibility that I can't quite explain. But I still marveled, how did a kid from East Texas get here? Well, this kid from East Texas, and I do still kind of think of myself as a kid, even though I've been out of high school 50 years, but I got here in large part because of my educational foundation in center schools. I started in kindergarten with grandmother Ihlo, so she made sure I knew my alphabet and how to spell my name and how to count before I got to first grade. And then I had fabulous teachers. Just a few from high school that I want to point out, and I don't mean this by any stretch if I leave somebody out, but the ones that immediately come to my mind are Billy Thomas, teaching speech, Judy Bowers, all things math, Portia Gaines and Helen Bowers, teaching college prep math, and I can't forget to mention Coach Gaines, who took me to the state meet in golf in 1973. And of course, Bill Haley, teaching American history, one of my favorite subjects. So I owe so much of what I accomplished and where I am today to center schools, and particularly to my education in center schools, because these teachers didn't just teach us and then go home. They cared that we learned something. They cared about us as individuals, and they cared that we learned something and that we were our best selves, whoever that best self was that we were going on to be. So I owe a debt of gratitude to center schools. I also want to point out that how honored I am that how many of my family showed up here today to support me. Thank you to all of you. There are too many to list you or I'll go out of time. And I'm looking at Lori. Right, she's got her clock on. But most importantly, I want to thank my parents. And as David pointed out, my mom is here today. I want to thank them for your love, for a great life, and for a lifetime of support. When I said I want to go to law school after my mom first said, "You can't go to law school. What are you thinking?" She immediately turned around and said, "Okay, let's make this happen. You got in. We're going to make it happen." And they did. They were behind me 100% of the way in every boundary I pushed. Y'all, Mom, were truly the best. You enabled my success, but you also enabled me to stand up and honor my sense of justice and fairness in the world and in the United Methodist Church. So I thank you. And Mom, I also hope you haven't had to silently correct any of my grammar this morning. Thank you all so much.
What a career, what a lovely story to success from Center High School. Next presenter is going to be Ms. Joyanne Weaver-Havren, who is going to present our second nominee today.
Well, I think a true testament to the city that we're all from and the schools that we all went to are the last three speakers that you just heard. What eloquent voices, and what a wonderful testament to where we're all from. What an honor for me to introduce my dear friend, a 1967 high school graduate of Center and one of this year's Alumni Hall of Honor inductees, Dr. Martha Lou Chadwick Scott. Martha Lou is married to Larry Scott, and they are pillars of the city of Waco and Baylor University. Dr. Scott holds a Bachelor of Science degree and a Doctor of Education degree from Baylor University, plus a Master's of Public Administration degree from Texas State University. Her professional career began at Baylor in 1971 as an office manager in a woman's residence hall, then quickly ascended through the various positions to Dean of Campus Life, then Acting Vice President for Student Life, culminating in the position of Associate Vice President for Student Life for Baylor from 2005 until her retirement in 2019. During her tenure at the university, Martha Lou taught numerous classes, was actively involved in professional organizations, and was instrumental in touching so many lives by the grants that she had funded for improvement of post-secondary education drug prevention programs. She has given many professional presentations, many of which centered on mental health and alcohol and other drug abuse among college students. Always being actively involved in her church, First Baptist in Waco, she has been on the church council, numerous committees, and has taught Sunday school for scores of years, many of them as the director of the first and second grade school. She is a charter member and served on the board of directors of Habitat for Humanity, as well as the boards of Wesley Foundation Campus Ministries, Waco Symphony, and is a McLennan County Master Gardener. She has been active in the volunteer community for the Waco Center for Youth, Multiple Sclerosis Association, March of Dimes, American Heart Association, Keep Waco Beautiful Committee, and the Historic Waco Foundation. Martha Lou was the recipient of the Woman of Distinction by the Girl Scout Council in 1996. In 2019, the Division of Student Life at Baylor renamed their highest award for service and excellence to the Martha Lou Scott Pillar of Baylor University Award. I was privileged to observe Martha Lou when my son was at Baylor. Her quiet, calm, but most competent leadership endeared her to all. Dr. Scott has touched thousands of individuals of all ages and has truly made this world a better place with her exemplary life and her teaching, mentoring, and counseling for 6 decades. In Martha Lou's own words, all accomplishments pale in comparison to working with students and to help them find their path in life. Dr. Scott, you have done just that and much more. I applaud you, my friend.
I don't know whether to call you Dr. Scott or Aunt Lou, but well, Aunt Lou, it is an honor on behalf of CHS Alumni Association to present you with this award, and the closest thing a back row Baptist can get to a saint. So congratulations.
I love you, dear. I knew this was going to be an emotional day. I just didn't know how much. Thank you, Joyanne. One of the greatest blessings in life is to have a friend with selective memory. I have the very best of friends. I thank the Center High School Alumni Association for my selection into the Hall of Fame. And to be recognized in this way, I never expected people from my past to be here and say such kind things to me today, and I appreciate that beyond measure. I'm humbled beyond measure today as you recognize me, and I'm particularly pleased to be recognized on the same day with Jen Ihlo. Thank you. My eyes are so runny I can hardly read. I'm so sorry. When you look at the Association of Alum who have been honored in this way, I think you will understand just how overwhelmed I am to join your ranks. There's no doubt that I'm a product of Shelby County and the Center Public Schools. The way I talk, the way I think, the way I process, the way I live my life, my standards and values are all a result of this place and what influence it's had in my life. It's not unusual for somebody to stop me and say, with that accent, just where in the world are you from? And it didn't take long in my marriage for my husband to realize when I was going through a crisis, he needed to pull my suitcase down from the shelf in the closet and encourage me to come home because he knew this place would ground me again. He, more than anybody else, understood that this was a place I could come and breathe in yellow pollen from the pine trees and be restored and recentered, and I felt whole again and knew what my values were again. I realize today that the recognition I receive isn't just for me, it's also about the people I've been blessed to have in my life. And I'll start first by mentioning my parents. David, Carlita, and I were blessed by parents who taught us right and wrong with their words, but also with their deeds. My faith was taught and shaped by my parents and also by the members of the First Baptist Church. Carlita, David, and I learned as children how to love one another and treat others with respect. Our faith, our ethics, our values were formed by them. Our parents taught us, but our classmates were the one who gave us the laboratory in order to figure out how to live that out. The center schools offered us an education that prepared us for what awaited us in the future. We learned the very basics while we were also being inspired to pursue horizons beyond the ones we knew. We were challenged by teachers who loved us enough to push us and challenge us to learn how to think on our own. The teachers weren't alone in that process. Our classmates were there every step of the way. They were consistent for all those grades. In my own experience, it began with sharing a desk with Anita Burles in first grade in Miss Ballard's class, all the way through to our senior year when Marilyn Mentor and Joy Ann Weaver Heverin spoke and gave remarks on behalf of our graduating class. The cumulative effect was an education that launched us as citizens of the world. So much of my professional life has focused on helping others and working with them as they found their solutions and found answers to their problems. I was able to care for our students because of the way Center Schools had cared for me. I was able to challenge those students because of the way Center Schools challenged me. I am overwhelmed today with gratitude. I will do my very best to live up to the honor that you've paid me. I am grateful to each of you for being a part of my life. Thank you.
What well-deserving recognitions both of you have received. so very, very proud of you in many ways. I consider the fact that I got to grow up kinda with both of you there, and that is extra special, as it is to everyone who is in this room today. Oh, definitely. You keep on believing that, darling. Just keep on believing that. Oh, you know, we're often considered to be country bumpkins because of our accent and because we're from rural East Texas with all that pollen. In the last 30 minutes, you've heard from 3 doctors and a CPA. Pretty good bumpkins, I would think. And look at the gracious nature of everyone who has been here, the words they've spoken, the way they've handled themselves, the professionals that they not only presented today, but the professionals they are every day of their life. What an impact and what an ambassador role they have played for our community, and it is truly a marvelous thing. We recognize them today for the things that they have done, but we have not recognized them for the things that they will accomplish in the future, for what they have given through the past that they've done. Truly beautiful ladies, well deserved. Well, we're at the end of our meeting today. We always sang a song, Hail Center High School, hats off to you, ever you'll find us loyal and true, firm and undaunted ever will be, Hail Center High School, hats off to, here's a toast to thee. And then they will modernize and yell CHS. Changes don't work. Those words didn't mean much. They were just something to do. But it seems as the longer we live and the more we get the opportunity to realize it, and we've heard it today from 4 different speakers, school, what I learned in school, the values, the friends, the growth. Hale Center High School is appropriate to salute that entity there. It is what made every one of us in this school. We often, when we went off to college, I think, thought that we were a little deprived of not having the lab or the foreign language or the computer or whatever it may have been that some of our city friends had. But we learned a lot more than that. We learned a way to get to law school when you couldn't go to law school. We learned a way to be in education when you didn't belong in that role there. All of a sudden, you realize that we did learn it all from Center High School. What an impact it has. We're going to close today if there's no other business to be brought before our group today. And I'm going to ask Nancy Adams Curtis to lead us in our school song. So if all of you will stand and sing Hale Center High School. She's not really prepared for this, but Nancy's good.
Everybody sing, please. Hail Center High School, hats off to you. Ever you'll find
And you can holler CHS if you want to. Thank each of you for being here. Now the real meeting starts as we continue our visiting that I interrupted so rudely. But aren't you glad I did? Have fun.